Welcome into the Graham Lincoln McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham Lincoln McLean. We're back with some more ACC spring updates. If you missed last week, we did a Clemson update recapping their spring game because Mac was there live in person. We had Will Helt on as well, new defensive end. We did a Florida State recap with Tommy Castellanos, new quarterback, and Ira Schofel, who covers everything for Florida State. So I feel good about those, Mac. And now we got to talk SMU. We're going to have Kevin Jennings join us after we chat a bit about the Mustangs. Just Kevin Jennings, the SMU quarterback, Heisman contender. But Mac, I know you're in Memphis somewhere, Midwest, I believe, as we talk Mustangs
Midwest.
here. No, you're going to the Midwest.
Yeah,
Memphis is not the Midwest. Yeah.
Memphis first here on this lovely Saturday, and then St. Louis tomorrow. So, just whatever. Do what you got to do. And it was funny, KG, I got to my hotel a little early. Room wasn't ready. And so I had to just be walking in Memphis. So that's what I did. Here we are.
I love that. You probably wouldn't. Knowing you're going to get some ribs tonight or somewhere. You got to in Memphis. Absolutely have to. And Mac, we do, of course, with Ingles, our great people over at Ingles. I feel like you haven't done ribs in a minute. Like, is that something you're saving for something coming up?
Well, it's one of those things where you would think that it's the off season. Mm-hmm. Eric has way more time, but weirdly enough, I haven't had time. So that is on the docket for sure. We've got to make it happen. And it's just fun to make, right? Like ribs are fantastic. And I am going to be going to a place called Rendezvous for ribs tonight. Ooh. Cannot wait. It's going to be really, really good. But yeah, if I was at home, I would go to Ingles and then I'd make my own, which is exactly what you want to do. And you mentioned being at the Clemson spring game. There's nothing that brings me more joy than taking Amelia Rose to the Ingles that I grew up on. And she loves it. That will be her frequent flyer spot when she gets to Clemson in 2040.
She and Jacob both.
Yeah, they can chop together. And Graham Lincoln McLean, I guess it'll be called something different then. But we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
It will live on at that Ingles on Issaquah Trail.
Yeah.
All right, Mac, let's talk a little SMU here because I'm so interested in this team and this program. Obviously, they are on the rise in every way, shape, and form. Their new AD, Damon Evans, who they brought in and basically just took from Maryland. So that's, whenever you can go get a sitting power for AD, that's always interesting. I love the new women's basketball hire. It's obvious that they took a sitting power for head coach from Arizona, hired her. So I think a lot of this started with football last year and showing kind of what you can get at SMU, return on investment, that type of thing. They were able to do some good things in the portal. But the bottom line is they bring Kevin Jennings back, and that's the best thing you can possibly have to bring back your starting quarterback plus your head coach and your offensive coordinator. When you have all those things together, that always seems to be a good recipe for success. We're going to talk with Kevin in a second, but just from your view, Mac, like where can he get to this year? And we all know he has to cut down on the interceptions. I think we all agree on that. But like, if he does that, where can he be?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things just maturing and just going into year two as a starting quarterback. We see leaps and bounds from the position, especially as you just mentioned, when the triangle is complete, offensive coordinator, head coach, quarterback, all back together. You see some really cool things happen. And that's what I expect here. De'Aaron King, fantastic quarterback coach, has done it at the highest level, very successfully. Coach Rhett Lashley that just knows how to dial it up and get everything, going in the right direction for me is exciting to see. So, I think things like footwork, cleaning up and trusting, what you see, pushing the ball downfield, not hesitating. And when you extend plays, when you get out of the pocket, which he is so dangerous at and such a great player that can kill you with his feet, keeping his eyes downfield for the really big play as well. So, and that comes with confidence. That comes with knowing the offense, knowing where guys are going to be. And I fully expect KJ to get there. And, you're going to hear some fun things from him on, what he expects from himself and what this team has been doing all spring. And, one thing that we didn't ask him about this, which now I'm just kicking myself that we didn't. I can't wait to see what RJ Maryland looks like.
I know.
He was such a great player. He was on pace for like 10,000 yards, I think, after the first game. Now that slowed down a little bit, and he had that bad injury, but he's a weapon. And SMU did not have him for 3/4 of the season. So, that's going to be a really big feature piece to go with Hibner, who was a great, 2 tight end sets are going to be a must at SMU.
The tight ends think can be really good, hoping RJ Maryland is ready to go for fall camp injury wise. And then Hudson at wide receiver, I think he's obviously going to be a big piece. Mac, my big question, and KJ alluded to this a little bit, who replaces Rashard Smith? Because he did so much and did everything for them. We love Billy and Body, by the way, over at On the Pony Express. And I was listening to some of the things he was talking about. Derek McFall is a young redshirt freshman running back who they're really excited about, from Texas kid, SMU with their stock rising, able to get some of these players. So he's someone I think could be really interesting, can catch the ball at the backfield. Because Rashard Smith, if you watched SMU last year, you'd think, okay, that's the guy that they're going to miss, and they've got to find a way to get some production from that position. It doesn't necessarily have to be just like him, because that may be hard to find, but you're going to have to get something like that.
Well, the good news is I think McFall is a lot like him. I mean, he played some receiver in high school, obviously did his thing at running back. He's a weapon, and he was a guy that I remember hearing things about in camp and things of that nature of, this guy's going to be special. It's just a matter of when, not what. He's going to be a guy. So is he going to be the emergence? Do we see more of, LJ Johnson like we did a handful of years ago? So the good thing is I think they have options, but, McFall, is going to be a guy that I'm really interested to hear more of. I'll be going to Dallas here in a couple of weeks, so I'll hopefully get the inside scoop. Maybe we tell you, maybe we don't. Who knows? You guys might have to wait till the fall to hear from Coach himself, but that's a piece that I think is going to be really, really impressive. There's going to be some questions on the offensive line as well. Now, they went out and got guys. They went out and got some transfers from some power schools, but you're losing a couple of big pieces there. Logan Parr's back, who had a fantastic year. Some other guys that maybe weren't as quite healthy as they wanted to be will be back. So I think the offense is going to be in a really good spot, especially having a guy like KJ being back.
And he can make up for some O-line issues or maybe some early issues with the O-line.
He's like an eraser. He can hide all of that stuff.
He is, for sure. Okay, 2 things I want to bring up before we talk a little defense. First thing is, and I don't know if this is what you're going to, Mac, but their spring game is on April 25th, and it's just a private showcase for season ticket holders, family, close friends, and Eric McLean, apparently.
I don't know if I can tell you that.
You don't know anything about that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that I'm going to be there or not allowed.
Okay, good. Then I'll let you off the hook. But I did find that interesting.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
I find that interesting. And again, it kind of goes to no one wants to show anything because the portal's about to reopen again and they don't want their guys getting taken. So this whole new world has changed. The other thing, and I saw this from David Hale on Twitter, because Tyler Van Dyke is on the roster, which maybe I missed that. I don't know. Maybe in all the transfer portal news, I just missed this addition. So Rhett Lashley said we didn't bring him in to be the starter or the backup. And then David Hale tweets that TVD is still rehabbing, unlikely to be ready for the start of the year. So he could potentially redshirt this year, rehab, and then have one final season in 2026. He could maybe be your stopgap between KJ and whoever's next. I think
Roland transferring from Alabama, coming back.
I mean, who knows? I think TVD will be 26 at that time. Yeah. But, you get older and that's good in college football. I found that very interesting, Mac.
Yeah, here's the deal. I don't know this for a fact. And again, something we can ask Coach, at a later date. But what I'm kind of assuming here is TVD had a very successful season with the offense that Coach Lashley produced. Knew it very well, executed it super highly well. He has faced some injuries, faced some adversity. Maybe there's some writing on the wall. Maybe he wants to get into coaching. So maybe he's using this as kind of a grad school coaching without taking a coaching spot. We need a QB emergency situation type of thing. Maybe. I don't know. But I do think he's probably an outstanding resource for Kevin. He's probably awesome to have in the facility and just be on the team. And again, he has the ability, if he gets the opportunity or if chaos happens and he has to go in, I feel really good that he can execute. But kind of what you said that Coach alluded to, I don't think that's really why he's there.
Yeah. It's just an interesting, that's just another little tidbit. College football.
World that we're in. Very strange.
Yeah, have this 25-year-old guy who knows that, like you said.
Bryant's grandson was like a GA for a month, and then he actually played, and then he was back to GA, and now I think he's on staff somehow at Clemson. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows how this is? I think Amelia's actually already on staff at Clemson. I heard
Yeah, she is. She
she's
is.
already got a gig there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish this out before we get to KJ. The defense, we know how opportune it was last year, forcing turnovers. I know that's going to be the same point of emphasis. I thought also at times you could just tell SMU was well coached. You think about the special teams execution to win at Duke, and like all these different things. So I expect a lot of the same there. I know they lost some key pieces, but I think we'll learn more about the defense. I'm not sure how much we can learn in spring, but as we get closer to fall camp.
Yeah, it is one of those where a lot of guys moving on, right?
Yeah.
Like just going to the NFL, and you got a ton of senior leadership, guys that love being there, that really embraced the culture and became a part, of that SMU family. And now it's next man up, some more opportunity. I like what, they have in the secondary. I think there's some really key pieces there, probably starting with Isaiah, number 23, that I know a lot of fans remember, and, what he was able to accomplish last year. Very talented secondary player. But then, across the board, it is going to have to be one of those things where guys emerge, and we're going to have to find out quickly. I'm going to really be paying attention to the line of scrimmage, and what those guys are able to do. Are they able to replicate, the last 2 years from a pressure, sacks, fumbles, strip sacks kind of perspective?
Yeah, and also maybe the offense will be a little further along to start the year than it was last year.
Right.
Obviously, I would have to imagine the Nevada game still, I think, maybe some nightmares there for for SMU fans. But hey, they won the game. So Mac may or may not be at some event in Dallas late April. I'm not going to speculate on that anymore at all, Eric McLean. I know you might see our good friend Kevin Jennings, but we're really excited to get to our interview with him, Mac. Any more thoughts on KJ before we fire this thing up?
I think that I need to arrange some type of game one-on-one with KJ and I. Now, I don't play video games anymore, so he would demolish me, but I know he loves that. So
interesting.
Really grateful for KJ's time. This is a really fun interview. Chris Smith, thank you for setting it up. Without further ado, let's get to KJ.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Kevin, great to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You and I were just kind of chatting a little bit that you guys are 6 practices in, 2 weeks in to spring ball. How's everything been going? How you doing?
Everything's been going pretty good, catching up on spring reps and, just getting the work in. And, I've been good. Life's been good. Everything's been good. Family's good. So, really can't complain.
We love to hear that. I mean, what's it been like for you since, SMU makes the playoff, which is just a crazy situation that basically no one predicted for the year. So very successful year. Then you have a little time to just decompress a little bit. What was that like for you? Were you able to put in perspective the kind of season you had?
Yeah, I mean, definitely after the season, after everything was done, got a chance to just look back, go watch the games and look at the amazing season we had. And, it was just crazy to think about it. Like you said, nobody had us going that far. And to go that far our first year in the ACC was a crazy experience. So it was definitely a blessed season for sure.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And, just to see your growth, the quarterback you became and, the amount of talent, just bleeding out of you, right? It is really fun. So I'm curious now that, you're the guy and this is your team and you're amongst one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. How has spring been a little bit different for you, right? Because it was a competition and, you were maybe going back and forth in the fall, but now this is fully your team. How is that different for you this spring?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite different, but I also try to treat it the same. It's always competition. So, I won't say it's my team yet. So just keep competing every day. We got quarterbacks below me that's, working and coming from my spot. So we're just competing every day, trying to make each other better. And, same thing as last year. Just work your butt off every practice, every single practice. So.
That's a good mentality to have. And I was reading some things too. Like Max said, last year in the spring, SMU wasn't quite sure who their quarterback was. So they couldn't really build the offense around either of you.
Right.
But this year they can. I mean, they know. So are there any, you don't have to give us too much information, but
tell the playbook. Let's hear it.
Any added wrinkles or new things that the offense and you guys are working on?
I mean, it's stuff that we're trying to expand on and get better at. Not necessarily adding new stuff and things like that, but we're trying to get better at the small things. Different run games, pass games, and just Coach Lashley coming to me and asking like, what other plays do I like, so we can add and make me comfortable with it. So just things like that. Just asking me for things to expand on the offense.
Yeah. How about going back to kind of my thought process here, KJ? How about like the gravity of just being the guy? Like I know you just did a whole season. I know you took them to a championship and to the playoff, but this is different, right? We're trying to get better. We're
Right.
learning. There's more of those leadership things as the quarterback that you guys just naturally have to take on. How has kind of that stuff been for you? Is it noticeable change, and are you kind of comfortable with the things that you have to do as the guy?
Yeah, it's definitely been great. The season we had last year, that's in the past, and we're only trying to get better from there. So, just going back, looking at film, looking at things I can, do better and mistakes I made, and just trying to capitalize off the time we got right now to the next season, and try to get better at each and every aspect, and just helping my teammates as well, watching film with them, trying to get them better, and they're trying to get me better as well. So, it's a whole aspect to it, and yeah, we're just trying to get better day by day.
Okay, speaking of those teammates, because we know some of those guys are moving on to the NFL, but you
Yes,
guys
sir.
obviously have a lot of pieces left. I know you've only had a couple weeks of spring, but give us some names that have really stood out to you that you're thinking, okay, like this guy could take a jump for next year.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys that that's coming back that's looking way better. But first, I'll start with Derek McFall. He's taking a role. We have Bashard leaving. It's a big role to fill. So he's stepping in. Making plays at practice, doing everything he could to make the team better. And we also got guys like Romello Brinson and Jordan Hudson outside that's making plays, and just the whole line. They've been balling the whole spring. I see improvement everywhere. So they're getting way better, and just the whole team, the whole offense, and defense is stepping up as well. So.
Yeah, it is funny when you look at a team that had so much senior leadership, senior
Right.
production, and now guys finding their way, and
Yeah.
new guys have to step up, kind of like you mentioned there. You did mention two names there at the wide receiver position that obviously were very much involved
Yes,
last year. But what does that look like when there are so many new faces, so many new things? Is it extra drill work after practice? Is it extra film sessions? Where do you kind of find your sweet spot in really connecting with these guys?
Yeah, I think it's like more extra drill work. Like after practice, I think guys learn better doing it in person. So just getting them out of practice, having them run routes here and there, and just being able to connect on time. Like me and Jordan and Melo talked about. I mean, it's our last year, so got to capitalize and make the best out of it. So we're every day after practice, trying to get the reps in, talking to each other about here and there and just things like that. So just trying to make the best out of this year for sure.
We alluded to the playoff, right? And what a big deal that was. Of course, the game didn't really go like you guys wanted, and we all know that. And I've heard you say a few things about this, but what did you learn specifically from that playoff experience?
Yeah, I mean, the playoff was definitely a blessing to reach that moment and to play at that type of environment. It was definitely a blessing, but I think a lot of things, definitely not to take nothing for granted, um, yeah, and just looking back at that game, just looking at the mistakes I made, how to get better off that, just to capitalize off that, and that's what I learned.
Are there a couple of things, I guess, just this spring that you've really been focusing on, KJ? Is it footwork? Is it knowing check down? Like, what is it? Because I think there's another step you can make. Like, you were
Yes,
so
sir.
good last year, but I
Definitely.
think you can take it, to another level. What have been some points of emphasis for you this spring?
Yeah, like you said, definitely footwork. Being able to stay in the pocket, trust my old lineman, and deliver the ball instead of flushing out a lot. Just standing in the pocket and making plays in there. I think that's my number one emphasis. Try to get that down, and also just trust my receivers, putting the ball in their facility and letting them make plays instead of trying to be a superhero myself. So that's the key aspects right there.
When you talk about, getting out of the pocket, because I can't relate, right? Not a twitchy athlete, slow guy. I don't have that explosive ability. What goes into that? Like, what is the timer in your head? How do you work on that? Because you are an absolute threat when you get out of the pocket.
Yes,
You
sir.
are unbelievable with your legs, but I know you want to stay in there, and I know you want to deliver strikes down the field.
sir.
So what does that look like? How do you work on it? What are you telling yourself? What are the coaches telling you to
Yeah.
really maybe dial that in?
Yeah, it definitely starts at practice. Trusting my old linemen, trusting the guys to be there for me, and also just it's also a timing thing. Make sure I'm on time to this route and not trying to like flush because I'm late to a route or something like that. So just timing, footwork pattern, and all the things like that, and it'll be way easier for me to.
KJ, we know you're a Dallas kid and
Yes.
proud of that for sure. And so you're wearing the Dallas logo, right? The Mustang logo. How has that been a little different for you? Walking around town, maybe going back to your hometown, going back to your high school, whatever it is, wearing that logo since the season you guys had.
Yeah, it's definitely been different. I'm outside and more people are recognizing me in previous years. I'll walk out like last year, walk out, nobody knows who I am. But now it's kind of way different. People know who I am, like walking out just anywhere I go. So, it's a way different. It's a target. Back just to, make sure I'm always on top of my stuff, doing the right things all the time. So things like that. So.
Is that weird? Is that weird to walk around and be like, leave me alone?
Kissing babies and autographs every day. I mean, it's a lot.
I mean, it's not weird. I'll take it as a blessing. It's honestly a blessing just to go out and people recognize me and just asking for pictures here and there. So it's a blessing that God gave me. So it's not weird at all.
Yeah. It's just part of it, right? It's part of
Mac
the position.
understands, KJ. It happens to him all the time.
Yeah, I bet he
Depends
does.
where I am. Depends where I am. That may or may not be true. KJ, I want to talk about your quarterback coach, De'Aaron King, a guy that I just love so much, and it's been so fun to see him grow and develop in this role, and have other people talking about him. To this young coach that's up and coming and rising. How have you seen him grow? Over your years together, and kind of where he is right now as a coach.
Yeah, it definitely grew a lot for him. Everything is like second nature. It's quick. He knows everything. He picks up on everything. So when I'm on the field and I got questions to ask him, it's like just so easy because he played in the offense. He's in the offense studying all day right now. So it's just so simple and easy to just rely on him and have him help me on different stuff I'm not sure of.
Have you been able to, again, we know it's only April, but like either write down or think about some of your goals, either for individual and team for SMU for the coming year?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely been able to sit back on some goals, just note some stuff down. I think I do it every year before the season starts, just jot some notes down and, sky's the limit, so it's always reach.
Come on, what's on? No, you got to tell us. Is it Heisman Trophy, championships? What's on there, man? Come on.
Yeah, that's definitely championship, Natty, Heisman, all those things right there. We're reaching for the limit, so got to be the top of the top.
Right. Well, here's the deal. I mean, you can go get it, right?
Yeah,
like where
cool.
you guys are, the expectation, the excitement that's just surrounding Dallas right now. I mean, it's all attainable. I don't think it's a pipe dream, really at all. What is, the expectation though? Because again, you've been there, you understand coming. It's not the first year anymore, right? Yeah. Like this is the new kid on all these things. Yeah. No, you guys got to the championship. Right. You went down to the wire. You made the playoff. What is SMU football moving forward into these next coming years?
Yeah, I mean, we set a goal before every year as a team as well. So, we're in the meeting room. Coach last year, he talked to us. He was like, last year's over. We went to the championship. We lost. But, we got to go get it this year and, take it all. So that's definitely the goal, number one goal, win a conference championship and trying to head for that.
And that's a good place to start, right? Because if you win your conference,
you're in a good spot.
You go from there, right? Like that's kind of the baseline, and then you can accomplish everything you want from beyond that. KJ, we talked about you're from Dallas and, have that kind of local tie. What do you do? Because you seem like a very focused, like football guy. What do you, especially because it's the off season, like what do you do outside of football?
Oh, I know what he's doing. He's on those sticks, man. Come on. What are we playing right now? What are we doing?
I'm on, NCAA right now, college football, play Fortnite here and there, but I also like to, just chill with my guys, people on the team, we go out, we chill, chill at the house, take some pictures, get dressed up and all things like that. So just have fun. I like to have fun with my teammates. And I think that's the reason we're so good here. Everybody's a family. Everybody's so close together and yeah, it's just a family.
What a place to hang out, Dallas. I mean, I just think of every time I visit there, I'm like, this
and the food, Mac.
It's the best spot. It's
so
the best spot. What are some of the bangers, man? Restaurant or spots? Like, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Yeah, so my number one is Texas Day Brazil. It's like all you can eat. Steak,
You're not playing around.
That's the number one spot for me. But you also got good places like Hudson House. You got Chicken Guys. You got Banditos. Everything. Anything you
Come
can
on.
eat.
Come on.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
I'm hungry.
Well, KJ, here's the deal. I'm starving. It's lunchtime. I got to get out of here. You're an hour behind, so maybe it's not lunch quite for y'all. Always a pleasure, brother, to see you. We're so excited for this year. Can't wait, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me on.